welcome to Cityline. It is great to be in your home. We are live Thursday morning, and this morning is the 9th of March. It's a little cold out there this morning. But of course, we have a great show ahead of us. Later on, we'll be talking with Tanika. She is here to talk about Tools for Success Conference and what this conference is about, the who, what, where, when, why, and who needs to attend. Also, we have Chris Surface here, and he is representing the Adams family at Silas High School, and he has brought with him a wonderful young individual who is here to talk about how much fun it is to play, are you ready for this? Morticia Adams. That's right. And then Deanna Keller, she is the president of the Port of Tacoma, and she is here to talk about some of the great things that our port is doing. And we were in the green room talking about how the port does not even resemble the port anymore. It's been, it is always in the news and always doing great things, kind of like my next guest. Please join me in welcoming Tacoma City Council member, Mr. Keith Blocker. Welcome back to Cityline.
It's good to be back.
It's good to have you here. Oh my gosh, we've covered everything from soup to nuts. And when people were coming in on the wide shot, we were talking about the Blocker boys.
Oh.
The Blocker boys are something else. Okay, so your 7-year-old, was it the 7-year-old or was it the 5-year-old that was on Facebook that just
had... The 5-year-old.
The 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Up there, I mean, talk about confidence. Oh, yeah. Talk about, I am here to rule the world and boss my older brother around.
Oh, every day.
Every day. I mean, I asked if you and Christina just sit there and laugh in terms of what you hear going on in their bedroom. And you must. You place bets on who's going to hit who first.
Oh, it's usually the little one.
Yep. Bing, bing, Blocker boys are at it.
They're at it.
So let's talk about, you represent District 3. And yes. District 3, you're about ready to say goodbye to District 3.
I am in my 8th and final year.
How did that happen?
Oh man, time just went by so fast, but it's been one of the greatest honors to be able to serve this city. So,
yeah.
Yep.
You know, when I look at you in the city council meetings and I think about your journey, you are magnificent, Council Member Blocker. Oh. You are. When I think about what you bring, as Mayor Woodard says, up here to the dais, your background of how you grew up and the challenges that you have overcome, they leave me breathless because I don't know a whole lot of people who have survived what you have survived. Would you give us a snippet of what your life was like from, let's say, birth to, let's say, 22?
Ooh, so growing up in Philadelphia, born in 1981, struggled through the crack epidemic that impacted cities all across the nation. It had a tremendous impact on the city of Philadelphia. And that epidemic, in a lot of ways, dictated the path of my life. My mother struggled with addiction, experienced homelessness, lived in shelters. As a teenager, couch surfed, lived in a car. So all this happened before 22. And I still had to focus on trying to figure out, how to live a better life, focus on my future, and figure out a way to become the person that I wanted to be. So.
And the person you are in front of me. And let's also talk about you homelessness, unhousedness. Also, you have
vision loss.
Let's talk about your vision loss too, because
yeah.
I see you in the city council meetings, and you're looking very closely. And I think over and over again, this person basically hurdles things that are insurmountable to other people. How does that, in the sense of what you have been through, help you be a better council member for your district?
When I think about the vision loss, that started around 19, and then probably between 19 and 22 is probably where it capped off. But it hasn't changed since. I'm almost 42 years old, and it's been the same for about 20 years. But what it's done for me, having 20/20 vision and then losing it, was a wild experience, and it taught me to be vulnerable. It taught me to ask for help. It taught me that I don't have to do everything by myself, and it also taught me like some things you just gotta push through. You know, some things you could change, some things you can't.
You got to go to school.
Right. I got to go to school. I still had to go to college, or I wanted to go to college. And after losing my vision, that's what prompted me to go back to school.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is the vision loss hereditary?
It's genetic.
It's genetic.
Yeah, it's genetic.
Okay, so does mom or anybody else in the family
Well, my
carry that?
mom carries the trait, and my dad carries the trait.
Okay.
I mean, I've been blood tested and everything, like down to the DNA. So, yeah, it's a very rare disease called Stargardt's disease. It's
Okay.
a form of macular degeneration.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
So I know that you are a proud family man. And we talk about those two boys, the Rock'em Sock'em robots, and everything you go through in the morning to get them out to school. So this next question is, when you look back on 2022, what really stands out to you? What are you proud of before you say goodbye? Because you're just getting warmed up.
Oh, well, so last year, I would say one of the biggest things that I was able to accomplish was working with my council and the city manager's office to codify our racial equity work
Yes.
throughout the city. So we passed an ordinance that essentially for the rest of history, until another council comes and decides, our city manager is going to have to focus on racial equity, and whoever is our next city manager is going to have to follow those guidelines that's in our ordinance. So we're going to have to measure our progress so that we can close disparities in our city that are based upon race.
And what you just said is a tidal wave of questions that are unanswerable at times. I look around our city and I think about racial equity in the sense of those who are unhoused. I think about our crime levels. I think about all of those that fall into that gap. So as we sit here and we talk about crime levels and we talk about Chief Moore and his crime reduction plan, what do you hope to see out of this as a black man?
I mean, I think crime is a problem all over our country.
Yes.
It's not a Tacoma problem. There's a lot of factors that's going into why we're seeing an increase in crime. What I would say about Chief Moore is I really appreciate his approach to addressing crime. We didn't get here overnight, and we're not going to fix these problems overnight.
No.
So I know Chief Moore is working on building a team that's going to be able to support his strategic approach to addressing crime in the city of Tacoma. And what I've seen thus far is utilizing strategy to target certain areas, particularly areas where we're seeing high crime, and we're also recognizing those areas are high poverty areas. So our first phase is to have a presence in these communities where we're seeing a lot of activity, and then from there we'll start analyzing and assessing how we could provide support and services, because that's how we're going to address it. We can't lock people up and fix crime. So we know that that's not going to work. And we know that the problems that we're dealing with are mostly crimes of desperation. So we're talking about people who are struggling, people who are dealing with addiction, people who are dealing with mental health issues. So there's a whole host of reasons why we're having a high crime rate. Then we're dealing with car break-ins and property crime. And we're not going to be able to fix these problems overnight. But I'm really pleased with the work of Chief Moore, and I'm excited to see his program progress.
it feels like that now that we're kind of in a phase 2 with that, because the phase 1 rolled out. We looked at these areas, we looked at the demographics, like as you just said, and now we are in kind of a second phase where we're looking at those areas, and some of those areas have carried over from the first 90 days. Does that concern you at all about those households or those situations that are being revisited again?
I mean, we can't stop people from coming back. Our approach is to have a presence, and then we will be returning to those areas. We are collecting data to figure out where the problems are. So I'm not concerned about that. I think we just got to stick to the plan. It's going to take time for us to see some progress, and we are already making progress, but we just got to keep at it.
That's right. So you have 3 people right now who are vying to replace you, but you're irreplaceable. We all know that. So when you think about handing that seat to one of those 3 people who are so worthy, what advice do you have for them?
You know, this is not a fast-paced job.
No.
You know, oftentimes people get elected to office and they think they're going to come and change things overnight, and that's just not how it works. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and I would say when I think about my role on the council, and oftentimes we hear people say we're going to fight for this and fight for that. I haven't had to fight for anything. It's only been work. It's been me figuring out how to be strategic and work in collaboration with my colleagues. There's been no fights. You know,
Exactly.
there's been dialogues. There's
Yes.
been tough dialogues. There's been you know, conflicts. But when I think about the past 8 years, it's been nothing but work.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to fight, you know.
As one of my favorite people, Trevor Noah, said, beef? I have no beef. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Exactly.
It's just more work to be done. I mean, the work, if you think about it, you know, if you fight and then the fight's over, there's always going to be another fight.
Exactly.
For me, the work, there's always more work. You
There
know,
is.
so I'm always focused on the work getting done.
And the good trouble that you get into because of that.
Oh, yeah, there's always good
Thank
trouble.
you so much for being here this morning and for your time on the City Council. And this is not goodbye. I'm going to have you back on again before you actually say goodbye, because I'm not
All right.
ready to say goodbye. All right. All right. When we come back, speaking of saying goodbye, we will have Deanna Keller and the Comfy Couch here to talk about the Port of Tacoma and all of the great things that are happening there. You don't want to miss that. We'll be right back.